Trauma and emergency care has been the cornerstone of the Alfred Hospital since the 19th century. From the beginning 150 years ago to today, treating the most critically ill patients as quickly as possible was and continues to be the focus.
The thing about the emergency department is that we'd like to create order out of chaos. No single second is going to be the same.
Director of Trauma Services Mark Fitzgerald and Director of the Emergency and Trauma Centre De Villiers-Smith have collectively spent more than half a century saving lives on the Alfred front line.
The Alfred is the largest trauma centre in Australasia.
More than 67,000 patients present to the Emergency and Trauma Centre annually, and much has changed in the past 150 years. Emergency transport has accelerated from the most basic road ambulances to the most advanced aerial transfer capabilities. Constructed in 1990, the helipad was built on a bridge adjoining the hospital rather than on the roof, enabling patients to be flown in fast at any hour 365 days a year.
Back in Melbourne, another patient is on the way in. Another specialist team is on duty.
Inside the trauma centre, all the necessary emergency medical resources are in one place, from resuscitation bays to x-rays to expedite treatment.
We've got our x-ray facilities, our CT scans, ultrasound at the bedside.
CT scanning made a huge difference because you could actually see what was going on inside of people's bodies, which previously just had to open up and have a look.
The Alfred's emergency and trauma team has been involved in some of the most devastating human tragedies of recent years. Among them, the thunderstorm asthma event in November 2016, when a freak weather system triggered a communal asthma attack, with 14,000 people presenting to hospitals across Melbourne unable to breathe.
It was like a disaster zone. We would normally see about 180 patients a day. At that stage, we had more than 250 patients in the department, and a department that can treat 70 patients.
Just 2 months later, the Alfred team was confronted with the Bourke Street attack, when a car ploughed through the mall and along city footpaths, critically injuring 27 and killing 6 innocent people.
When we get notified of a mass casualty incident like Bourke Street, it's really hard for staff to get their heads around just what is required of them at that moment. But that's what we train for, that's what we do. We just concentrate on the care that needs to be delivered at that stage.
The Alfred's emergency team saves more lives than any other trauma centre in the country. Among them, 51-year-old Cameron Dabb, who in 2017 was severely injured on a Sunday bike ride.
I was just riding along and a lady hit me from behind doing, I estimate she was doing 80 kilometres an hour.
The father of 4's throat was crushed, his vocal cords severed.
My throat had swollen up to the point where I had stopped breathing, and so they had to do a tracheotomy so I could breathe. It was done without an anaesthetic and while I was conscious, so yeah. An awake trachea, they call it, which I think is pretty rare.
His daughter Isabella recalls how close her dad came to death.
I think they said it's been 15 years since they'd seen injuries as severe as Dad's.
But thanks to the Alfred's world-class expertise, he pulled through, very battered and bruised, but alive.
I've spent some time overseas and riding my bike overseas, and I've been told by plenty of people that if the accident happened overseas, there's no way I would have survived. That if you're going to have an accident like the one I had, it was the best place to have it because it's the best facility in the world.
To know that he was in such good hands all the time, it made it a little bit easier.
But the reality is not every patient can be saved.
Breaking bad news to patients, it's never easy.
I think the important thing is to be straight up with people.
And it is the people that is the life force of the amazing Alfred Emergency and Trauma Centre.
You're never short looking for people to help at the Alfred. It's fantastic.
The team I work with and the organisation I work in.
You need only ask those who've been to the brink and back again.
There will never be enough words or anything to thank them for what they did for us.
I can't thank them enough, so I owe them my life.
Help the Alfred continue to care for Victorians during life's most critical moments. Donate today, alfred150.org.au.